Walter Dishberger, a native to Texas City, Texas, was one of the many people involved in and who experienced the Texas City disaster. The Texas City disaster took place on April 16, 1947, when a vessel, the SS Grand Camp, had a reaction with ammonium nitrate on board, causing an extremely large explosion. My interview with Walter gave me much needed information about the event he experienced. Walter had a very personal connection to the explosion. He knew many people who had lost limbs and their lives. His father, Walter Sr., worked at Pan American Oil, which was only 2 miles away from the port of Texas City. Luckily, his shift went from 12 at night to 8 in the morning. After his shift, he went and got a haircut, not even grasping the fact that he was very close to being inside an oil plant that would later experience large fires and gas leaks. Many others weren't as fortunate because on that same day, fires and explosions killed 567 people. Walter's own home was about 2/3 of a mile away from the SS Grand Camp explosion. His own home experienced damage including windows being shattered, doors being thrown off their hinges, and scrap metal being hurled into his roof. In fact, in total, the damaged area was estimated to have cost $100 million in damage. In today's numbers, it would be around $1.04 billion. Walter stated in a comment about the rebuilding process that, "Texas is a hell of a state to live in. We look out for our own." While this may be a true statement, Texas was not the only state giving help. Actors and actresses came from Hollywood to help raise awareness and money for the cleanup effort. Sam McKayo ran organized crime with his brother in Galveston. When his brother died in the explosion, we got some of the country's most famous entertainers to help salvage funds to build up Texas City. But the statement is also so very true. After the explosion, not one person lost their ability to bring money into their own home. Companies from Texas City and around Texas put in money in order to give all workers who had lost their jobs a steady compensation. The cleanup was long and tedious. Walter and his friends went down the day after the explosion. Walter had to put on gloves and get bodies that were thrown into the water by the explosion and bring them ashore to be matched to a person. He said it was like trying to pick up a jellyfish when he described how hard it was to retrieve the bodies. He also had to go out and look for limbs and bodies in the rubble. Believe it or not, these limbs were sent down to the local high school, where the gym was converted into a body part identification center. People would wait for body parts and try to find a match and identify the deceased person. 63 people in total were never identified. Walter had some theories on how the ammonium nitrate on the ship actually reached those high temperatures that eventually caused the chemicals to explode. He believes that the workers on board were smoking and may have had a cigarette land on the chemicals. Walter was never told whether his family had received compensation from the government, but he does know that his family was able to buy a new house very quickly after the accident. Over 8,485 victims were paid compensation for the accident, totaling in a $17 million class action lawsuit against the U.S. government. This was a big deal because this was the first ever lawsuit against the U.S. government. Overall, this was an incident that should have never happened, but Walter Dishberger helped me get a better understanding of what took place that day and the actions that followed April 16, 1947.